Dying Light 2 is very close and we got brand new gameplay that reveals a ton of new details. So I want to go over all the important info that is very handy to know before you start playing on February 4th. One big new addition is gear, where in Dying Light 1 everything was just cosmetic. Here gear actually has bonuses for different playstyles. In the footage from the Red Bread, and I will put a link to everyone I mentioned in the video description, we for example see that a headpiece gives 3.1 extra damage for one-handed weapons. And that likely every item for the Brawler class gives you extra damage or other bonuses for using one-handed weapons. So thanks to the icons on the gear you can see which class it belongs to, so what type of bonuses you can expect. We also see icons for other playstyles. Yes, the arrow means Ranger, which focuses on extra range damage and stealth, and a bow was of course pretty OP in Dying Light 1 and should be super strong in this game as well. We also see Tank as a playstyle, which for two-handed weapons and should also decrease incoming damage. And you got Medic, which increases damage with parkour attacks, which I will touch on in a moment by the way, and also gives you health regeneration speed, which should be very good if you can regen a lot of your health. There are 6 rarities for gear in the game, similar to the rarities found for weapons in the first game, as showed here by Best Gamer Ali, and Attackland confirmed that there will be over 500 unique gear pieces to collect and up to 140 different weapons. Weapons that can also be modded. Like you can for example put a blaze mod on a melee weapon to trigger a special fire effect. More on these special mods in a moment, but first I want to touch on the durability of weapons, because that has significantly changed compared to the first game. It seems that you can no longer repair a weapon a few times before it breaks. This at least according to people who played an early version of Dying Light 2. Meaning that we will likely be throwing away weapons way more often if we do not mod them, because mods repair weapons now. Like here we see that putting this mod on a weapon gives plus 50 durability. So it seems that we can continuously mod a weapon to then still be able to use it. But yeah, once again, it will be totally smart to at least pick up a bow when you see one at a vendor. Sure, you will need the arrows, but that weapon can at least not break. So let's take a closer look at the vendor. We also got a look at the map of the game and way more info to discuss. Of course, if you like the video so far, then leaving a like on it would really help me out. And totally subscribe, because we will be bringing you way more Dying Light 2 videos, tips and tricks, and way more. We also now learned that you can get gear by looting it from enemies. The familiar looting animation from the first game is back, and next to crafting materials, consumables, and the Villador coins, you can also loot gear pieces from enemies. Like here we for example get the comfy trainer sneakers for the medic playstyle. Also smart is to look around for chests, because you can find gear in that too. It will just look like a random package, and the loot is by the way all random. So if I find something cool in this box, then you will likely find something different in that same spot. And picking up weapons works of course similar to the first game, and you can also immediately swap them out and then even parry at the right time for a nice counter attack. But they made a very important change to the weapon types in general. Police and military guns, like just guns in general, are not in Dying Light 2. The only available ranged options should be bows and crossbows. Although interesting, if you pause the recent trailer they released, you do see Aiden use a makeshift gun in a way in the left hand, which could just be an accessory or maybe a skill we can unlock. Because Dying Light 2 takes place 20 years after the first game, and you won't need to know the story of that first game to really understand this. We namely play a new character. Again, his name is Aiden, who is part of a group called the Pilgrims, and is searching for his sister Mia, who is his only link to his past. A big change is that society has gone back to a modern medieval period, which we will see in many settlements, including the big bazaar, the church, that the people of the old Villador have turned into their safe house. So I do agree that modern machine guns would not have really made sense in this game. During the new gameplay, we also got a glimpse at the map of the game with the bazaar in the middle. So when zooming out, as we see in footage from Oni-san, zombies, you also see that there's like a second, even bigger part of the map, and the developer said that it should be 2 times larger than the map of the original. The big difference this time is that it's way more vertical. You have a lot of skyscrapers and other buildings with multiple floors and layers, so there should just be way more going on in this map compared to that of the original. And the glider will of course help us traverse this big city. It should function similar to Breath of the Wild in the fact that you can slowly lose altitude while moving, and also the stamina meter determines how far you can fly. But only keep an eye out for air vents that will boost you up if you fly over them, and will also restore your stamina so you can keep flying. Safe houses are replaced by abandoned windmills, and we have to climb them via a sort of parkour puzzle similar to some of the towers we had in the first game. And once you complete them, survivors will come, and then it will change into a small outpost where we will likely also spawn when we die. But the big addition is a fast travel option in Dying Light 2 thanks to metro stations. We see an icon for one of them in the footage, and there are also trophies and achievements linked to these metro stations. So that should be a cool way to traverse the large parts of the map. The trophies, by the way, also hint at the return of airdrops. Bandit camps are in the game, night runner trials, so the parkour challenges are of course back. And we also have to claim facilities and turn them into functional buildings, which can open up vendors with unique items, new quests, new collectibles, and also NPCs to talk to. So these could be the windmills we just talked about, but also larger structures where we have a choice to give them to one of 2 factions. If in this example you choose the Survivor faction, you get more airbags in the region, while if you go for the Peacekeepers, you have some car traps you can trigger. And in different regions, you sometimes have different bonuses depending on the faction. But there will also be faction-specific quests and rewards for choosing one faction over the other. And they also mention a special training grounds where you can practice with unique exotic weapons, which might be linked to the Peacekeeper if I have to guess. And these kind of sound like the challenges we had in the first game with, for example, the machete, where we had to kill a lot of zombies in a time limit. While the extra special parkour challenges could be linked to the Survivor faction, but that's just my speculation, although I think it makes sense. The point is that you will totally miss out on some missions and rewards based on your choices. But this is where co-op can help. You can namely play in groups of 4 people, and how it works is that you basically join someone else's version of the open world. So if they sided with one faction you did not work together with, then you can pick up the quest and the rewards in their game and bring them back to your own version of the world. So good to note that in co-op, items and player progression carry over, but the mission progression is only saved in the world of the player you are playing with. And all the players can, by the way, vote on the different choices, but only the host will pick the choice he or she wants to go with. There's a small tutorial at the start of the game, and after that the open world will become available, and they can join or invite other people to your game. Cross-gen and cross-play is sadly not available at launch, but maybe you saw the news already that they plan to support this game for 5 years, just like the original. So we should expect cross-gen or cross-play likely during the post-launch of the game. And yeah, I already touched on it briefly, but choices are of course a big addition compared to Dying Light 1, with the time even counting down for reactive decisions, which should alter the story, and there are also different endings to the game. And another big change compared to the original is the nighttime, which in Dying Light 1 was of course brutal, but Techland found out that players would just skip it altogether because there wasn't a good incentive to play during this more dangerous time of the day. So what they did is make some missions only available during nighttime, and there are also special open world events like the GRE anomalies that are like boss fights against special infected. And these seem to be linked to at least one of the blueprint upgrade currencies. Don't worry though, you can also get these upgrade resources from regular zombies during daytime, although you will likely have to go out at night and fight these tougher bosses for the higher blueprint levels. And I will, by the way, explain this new blueprint system in a moment and also showcase the Craftmaster menu. I want to focus on the new night gameplay first. There's also a new GTA-like wanted system called the Chase base levels, with of course the higher the level, the more zombies going after you. And this happens fast thanks to these special howler enemies that will alert all the zombies in the area, so they all chase you down. Another big difference is that during day, a lot of zombies hide inside on multiple levels of a skyscraper, for example, to avoid the sun, while during night they roam the streets. So these indoor areas are then actually a lot safer to explore. And if you played the following DLC for the first game, you likely remember the hives that were also safer during nighttime. And we now also have nests in the sequel that are easier to explore during night. And they seem to be called GRE quarantines, looking at the trophies. And successfully cleaning them gives you special upgrades, which should be for health and stamina. So those will of course really come in handy. Well, in the first game, these upgrades were of course linked to the skill menu. It seems different this time, with the skills in Dying Light 2 really focused on active abilities. Like landing jump, where you have to press a key for an active landing. We got far jump, that lets you traverse the world even faster with this sort of boost for your jump. We got slide again, and of course, just like in Dying Light 1, you have to actually use the environment and do parkour moves in order to get the skill points to spend on these skills. Same for the combat. The more you fight, the more skills you unlock, like the fall power kick, to really send enemies flying. We saw perfect dodge already in a lot of gameplay, where you slow down time after doing a dodge at the right time. We got perfect parry, so you have to parry at the right time. And there actually seem to be some powerful ranged skills in the game now too. And of course, another way to make your character way better is by acquiring new items like weapons and gear. And there seems to be way more customization this time around compared to the first game. Best Gamer Ollie shared this first look at a vendor. We see weapons we can buy, but there's also a tab for gear. So gear is also obtainable for money, called Villador coins by the way in this game, named after the city. We also see accessories like grenades and molotovs, and consumables like medkits, bandages and inhalers. And while playing, you will by the way see this in the bottom left corner of the screen, likely linked to the D-pad, so you can quickly use them. Items are also available at a craft master, and when you talk to them for the first time, you get this short tutorial where we see that these craft masters allow you to buy blueprints that you can then also upgrade by finding upgrade materials from, for example, special infected that are easier to find during night. So it seems like there are 4 resources linked to particular enemies that we can then use on these blueprints for example, accessories like the UV bar, ammunition like fire arrows, which will be super handy to get, so you can craft them on the fly. And you can also find special mods here, for example, the ability to apply venom to your weapon on a critical hit, and by applying these mods, you also get extra crit chance. We find that on both mods, by the way. And upgrading them seems really worth it. We namely also got a look at a purple blueprint for the same flame mod, which increases from 10 to 15 damage over time and 8 to 12% crit chance, and also a base damage bonus. And what is interesting is that if we go back to the vendor menu where we see this gold rarity weapon, we see multiple socket options that all have a different name. The special on crit effects I just talked about are the tips, so they go in that slot. Below that we have the shaft mods, which are special effects you can actually trigger with a button combination, R2 and X with a PlayStation controller. And we actually have some footage of the lightning variant, which you see right here, shocking a group of enemies in front of you and dealing damage as well. These effects have a pretty long cooldown of 180 seconds, at least that's the case for the first upgrade, so maybe by upgrading these mods, the cooldown decreases as well. Going back to the Craftmaster menu, because we also got a quick look at the upgrades and a different tab for the crafting parts. So I totally think that this will be a good vendor to keep an eye on. I'm just super hyped to jump into this game. I really can't wait. And we will have a ton of spoiler-free tips and tricks and guide videos up. So totally subscribe for way more Dying Light 2 content if you haven't already. A like on the video would really help me out. And check out our previous Dying Light 2 content by clicking on the screen. For now though, I will speak to you next time. Goodbye.